Yo, what's up, guys? That Leafs fan back here. I'm basically gonna make an episode 2 today for Leaf updates. Last episode I talked about Mike Babcock being fired, what I thought on Sheldon Keefe's first games as a coach, and just a couple other things that were going on. So since last time we talked, the Leafs have played probably like 4 or 5 games. They've played Vancouver last night, who they beat. They played St. Louis on the weekend and they won. They lost to Colorado and the Flyers last week. And they also had a back-to-back with the Sabres that they each took 1 game each. So basically what I wanted to talk about was my thoughts on like how they played throughout the week. I really thought that under Keefe now, first of all, actually, okay, here. The first thing I want to talk about is special teams. The second thing I want to talk about is Freddie Andersen. And the third thing is where I think this team's going to be going, like in the next few games, weeks, like whatever's coming up. So yeah, the first thing I want to talk about was the power play and penalty kill unit. Ever since Sheldon Keefe has come to Toronto, like in these last 2 weeks, Toronto's penalty kill has drastically improved, especially with like involving Pierre Engvall playing with them, getting Marner back in the lineup. And even on the power play, like I'm noticing a lot more cycling in the zone instead of just like standing still and like passing the puck around. And another thing that I noticed that Toronto finally stopped doing was that drop pass trying to enter the zone. So like when they were under Babcock, whatever like their power play coach was telling them, they essentially always tried all stalling at the line, dropping it back for either Matthews or Marner or Nylander, and they would try picking it up and making their way in the zone and would always get stopped, and like we would never establish momentum. But like now we're seeing them move up as like they're moving up like along the ice like more as a team pretty much. And so like it avoids anyone standing still and it creates a lot more like movement and distraction for the defense. So I think that's why they've had a lot more success like going into the zone and just establishing like zone time. I think that's huge. As for penalty kill, I've been like totally happy with it. Pierre Engvall, amazing player on the penalty kill. He actually has 3 points this season. 2 of them are shorthanded. Zach Hyman's back in the lineup, by the way. Mitch Marner, lights out. He's been playing great. I can't say anything about him. But like I just noticed like an overall team morale shift like as to when they had Babcock. Now they're just kind of focusing more like in every game and like they're having less lapses in terms of like just gameplay, you know, like they're like stupid mistakes are happening less often, random turnovers are happening less often. They are still happening, but not at all as much as like they were say like a month ago. Like the team has finally started to like they're starting to gel together. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Freddie Andersen. He is literally, if Toronto wins a cup with Freddie Andersen on the team, Freddie Andersen will get his own personal statue right outside the arena because he's been stealing so many points for Toronto. He played amazing. Like if it weren't for him in the first 2 minutes of St. Louis game, we would have been down 2-0. He made outstanding saves to give the Leafs a chance to even like score a couple goals and get on the board. Even against, they just played Vancouver last night. He stopped 4 breakaways in like the third period. He's just been lights out. Like I have nothing bad to say about Freddie Andersen. He's been absolutely amazing. And to any of you guys talking about his contract, saying like, oh, you know, like we're gonna re-sign him and stuff, guys, we have him right now, and he's playing like. Freddie Andersen looks like he's in his best form that he's been in since he's joined the Leafs. Like I haven't seen him play much better. Every time that I look at the game and I see Freddie Andersen's in nets, the Leafs have like a very good chance of winning the game. Not because they necessarily played better than the other team, but just because like Andersen just stands so tall. He lets in about like 2 goals a night, sometimes 3, maybe even 1. Like he's just been like an absolute stud. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was pretty much where I think this team is headed in like the next couple weeks to a month. I think they just have to. I think it's important for Toronto to string like a win streak together, because after having that 6-game losing streak, like they kind of lost some traction in the standings. So if they're able to like, you know, maybe put together like 2 or 3 4-game win streaks or whatever like that, I think it would give them like the opportunity to kind of like ease up and like just find themselves the way that they're supposed to be playing. and obviously like you get back into a playoff spot, because like this year the difference between like second in the Atlantic Division and being like 4 spots out of a playoff spot is like 4 points, I think 4 or 5 right now. This is on December 10th or 11th, I'm not sure what day this is, but yeah, so I really think that Toronto has the potential, and what they basically have to do now is execute. They don't need to go pick up another defenseman. They don't need any more forward. A better backup goalie might be nice, but it's like it's not the end of the world. I really think like this team just has to, like, they're gonna decide their own fate. If Toronto is gonna show up every night and put 100% effort every single night like they've been doing in the last like couple of games, I really think this team has a good shot of like making some noise and maybe getting to the playoffs and hopefully going for a run. But then again, I've also noticed several times in their games where they'll play good for like around 55 minutes, but there's like moments that just, like the Spezza Riley, Toronto played a great game versus Colorado, but they just had like a complete miscommunication and it led to a goal that kind of lost them the game. So I think they just have to be like more careful on the ice, like, you know, like more attentive to like what's going on so they avoid mistakes like that. And if they do that, I really think Toronto's gonna, like, you know, build some points again to get back in the standings, get back into a playoff spot, and hopefully make the playoffs. So that's it for this week. I'm gonna come back probably in a week or two to make another Leafs update, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.